Hey, should you buy a house now or should you wait until the market crashes? Let's dive into it. My name is Justin Roberts. I am your local realtor here in the Gilbert and Queen Creek area and the Phoenix East Valley. And today I want to talk about that. I want to talk about whether or not you should buy a home right now or if you should wait until the market crashes so you can get in at rock bottom prices. So let's get into it. This question, honestly, is one that I get asked more than any other question. I talk about this to people several times a day. And everybody has the same concern. Everybody thinks that prices have gone up at such a fast rate that it has to crash. We have to be in a bubble. And I can understand that thought process. The last time we saw growth like this was back in 2008, and we did see a crash. Things have changed since then. The fundamentals of the market have changed. Back then, you didn't have to go through an intensive process to get a loan. There were lenders that would just say, hey, tell me what you make. And you could tell them and they'd just take your word for it. And it would be a stated income loan. Obviously people were lying. People were fidgeting the numbers a little bit so that they could get a better house. And it caused for some really shaky loans, some loans that weren't backed by very much. They were very risky. We also had an overabundance of supply. We had more homes than we had people that wanted the homes. The majority of the homes were being purchased by investors, and that was because they looked at it as an investment that could not fail. Obviously, we've seen that they were wrong. We saw a lot of people lose a lot of money, unfortunately. We saw a lot of people lose their homes, unfortunately, during that time period. And so it's really, really easy to understand why people would be concerned and think that we might be in another bubble and that we might be headed for a crash. Really, it comes down to one of two things, though. The home prices, the value of homes, is going to depend on the supply of homes and the demand for homes. So as supply rises, if demand stays the same and supply rises, your price is going to come lower. Because whoever's selling the home, they're going to be competing for buyers. And one of the things people do when they're competing is they lower the price so that they seem more appealing and like a better option for the buyers. Likewise, if the supply goes down and the demand stays the same, prices are going to come up because those buyers are going to be willing to pay more for those homes because they know that there's not as many available. Likewise with supply, we just talked about supply. Likewise with demand. If demand goes up and supply stays the same, now we've got more people competing for the same number of houses, and so those prices are going to go up. If the demand drops and the supply stays the same, well then the price of homes is going to decrease to basically try to match it, to try to get the people that do want homes into them. Because again, the people selling homes are going to be competing for your buyers. So those are the two factors that are going to impact price on anything, but especially in housing. Now, what could cause those to change? Because that's what we're saying. We're saying, hey, if there's going to be a crash, one of those two things is going to change. And so what is it? Well, we know that it's not supply. And I say that because we have such a supply shortage right now. The number of homes that we have is not sufficient for the demand for homes that we have. We have way more people that want to buy homes than we have homes to satisfy those needs. That supply, it takes a long time for that to catch up. But the reason we are in such a shortage is because after 2008, builders stopped building as much. And so we weren't keeping up with the demand of the population. So it's going to take us a while to catch up. Houses take a long time to build. It's not like we can just snap our finger and have a bunch of new houses. They take 6 to 14, 16, 18 months sometimes, depending on the permitting process and any delays, especially as we've gone through this pandemic. And so getting that supply is going to take a little while, right? The demand, on the other hand, is something that is more likely to change. So some things that could cause the demand for homes to decrease are if the prices do get too high. If we get to a point where home prices are too high, not as many people can afford them, and so there's going to be less of a demand. That price is going to have to come down to match that. We haven't really seen that yet. We're still in a place where homes are affordable. It might not seem like that because we're seeing really big price tags, but if you look at the affordability, your monthly payment compared to what most people are making, most homes are still relatively affordable. Something else that could cause that is if we see the economy tank, if we have a bunch of people that lose their jobs, if we have a bunch of people that aren't making as much, well, then the supply or the demand is going to decrease. The number of people that are able and willing to buy a house is going to decrease because people aren't willing to go out and to sign a 30-year mortgage when they don't even know how they're going to put food on the food. That's a good one. Put food on the table. The next day. You've got to meet your base needs before you go and get that locked down. What I think is more likely to cause any sort of a price decrease is the interest rates. So right now we are having historical lows in terms of interest rates. I'm still seeing people get right around 3% on loans. And it depends on your credit. It depends on the loan program. I've seen lower than that. I've seen higher than that. But the interest rates right now, they're relatively low. If those go up, then what that does is that makes your monthly payment go up. And if your monthly payment goes up, that makes that home relatively more expensive. There's a rule, and this one's hard to wrap your mind around. Because normally we look at anything, any price, and we look at just the top number, right? The sticker price, so to speak. And you look at that and you say, okay, that's the price of the home. But when you're looking at a mortgage, you need to look at what your monthly payment is. Because that's what the lenders are going to look at to determine how much you qualify for, right? And so there's a rule, it's the 110 rule. For every 1% the interest rates go up on a mortgage, your purchasing power goes down by 10%. And that's because your payments get approximately 10% more expensive every 1% of interest increase. So what that means is if you're qualified right now for let's just say, I'm not saying these are the rates, but let's say that you've got a interest rate of 3% and you're qualified to purchase a $500,000 home. So right now you're good. $500,000 seems like a lot of money, right? Well, if your interest rates go up, and let's say they go all the way up to 4%, so we do see a 1% increase. Well, now, because your payment's going to increase by so much, you're actually only qualified to purchase about a $442,000 home, more or less. It's pretty on par. And so you now can purchase $60,000 less, approximately, in home, but your monthly price is going to be exactly the same. And so if you think that we're going to see a drop in prices due to interest rates, you better hope that it's going to drop by more than 10% for every 1% increase that we see in interest rates. And that's why right now, I honestly believe that with the interest rates where they are, if you can afford it, if it makes sense, it's a good time to buy a home. It's also a good time because we are seeing increasing prices. And with those increasing prices, if you buy today and the price continues to increase, you now have a home that is gaining equity without you having to pay for that equity. You get it just because you're the owner of that home as the values are going up. Obviously, you need to be smart. You can't just go purchase because interest rates are low. If you're in a position right now where you don't know where you're going to live next year, if you are transient, moving around a lot, it's probably not real smart to get in and buy a home unless you plan on turning it into a rental or have another plan to be able to get rid of it when you move on. If you have a lifestyle that you're trying to keep, some people just like renting better. Some people prefer to be able to call their landlord up and say, hey man, the AC went out, I need you to fix it, right? If that's you and you don't like fixing anything and you're willing to pay extra for that luxury, by all means keep renting. That's an instance where it makes more sense to rent. But if you're at a place where you can afford the monthly payment and you can afford the home that you're looking at now, there's a very real possibility that even if that price drops, your monthly payments are going to increase more than that, and you're still going to be ending up paying about the same amount even if the sticker price on the homes is lower. So should you wait until the real estate market crashes? I personally don't think so. I don't want you to make any choices off of my opinion, but I don't think that we're going to see a dramatic decrease in prices like we did after 2008. I don't think we're going to see 50% of the home values just disappear overnight. I could be wrong. Nobody can predict the future, you know? You look at Zillow. Zillow stopped buying homes recently because they said, hey, it's hard to predict the future. Their estimates weren't accurate enough for them to be able to go and buy homes and flip them and make a profit. And so do what you feel is best. But at the end of the day, I look at it and I say, if you can afford it now, if it makes sense now, it's a risk to wait, just hoping that the market's going to crash, right? Especially because we do have such a supply shortage that it's going to take a while for us to catch up. So that's my personal opinion. Should you wait until the real estate market crashes to buy? I personally don't think so. I think you're putting yourself in a worse position. But you have to make the choice that's best for you. You have to make the choice that feels right for you. So if you'd like to talk through kind of your situation and get a better idea of what would work for you in your situation, please hit me up, give me a call, shoot me a text. My phone number is 480-313-0329. It's in the link below. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you can get updates. I'll let you know more information about buying and selling homes. I am here to help you. At the end of the day, that's what I do this for. I love helping people get into homes and get the most out of the homes when they're selling them. So if there's anything that I can do to help you, please don't hesitate to reach out.